Daniel Burris was a very interesting speaker, and I want to just tie a couple things he said to try to link it into what we're talking about right here. So, his topic was using hard trends to accelerate innovation. I was having a discussion with a colleague the other day, and we were talking about, the current models, the way we develop drugs, how it's dead in the water. And he said, "You said that 5 years ago." And I said, "It was true 5 years ago." And we're still doing it the same way, essentially. So it's not I don't think the question is, do we need to do things differently? The thing that's incredibly frustrating is the pace of change. It's so friggin' slow. And what can we do to try to accelerate it? When you think about some of the technologies that are available to us now, there's no excuse not to accelerate it. Daniel Burris said three things that really resonated with me. He talked about we need to collaborate versus cooperate. So cooperation is a low level. You see that, unfortunately, inside of companies where people are protecting their turf, where people are afraid that new skills are going to be required, and if we try something new, I won't have a job. CRO pharma interactions are also pretty cooperative. I mean, there's good talk about we want to collaborate, but truth be told, there may be one or two that are collaborative, but most are cooperative. When you think about collaboration, on the other hand, it's a higher level. I think Transcelerate's done a really nice job of bringing pharma companies together and saying, okay, there are a lot of things we don't compete on. Let's just work on these together, and it's true collaboration. I think there have been some amazing steps forward in terms of, I'll call them basket trials, whether it be iSpy, whether it be LungMap, or whether the new NCI match trial, where it really is about doing things differently. There's collaboration, and patients are going to benefit, and drug cost development's going to go down. So we need to think about how we can collaborate more. The second one is communicate versus inform. Informing people's one way, communicating is a dialogue. We do a lot of informing when we're working. I think SCRS and their SAGs have done a really nice job of bringing patient voice into design of trials, and there's a dialogue there. I know Jamie at INC, they've started up a site SAG, so they're actually getting site investigators sitting down and having input on protocols. So I think for too long of a time, we've talked around patients, we've talked around sites, and it's really been one-way discussion out to people versus the dialogue. We need to have more of the dialogue if we're going to change things. And the final thing that Daniel Burris talked about was a windshield view versus a rear view mirror, okay? So a car metaphor, rear view mirror is really small. The windshield is big. You're spending your attention looking forward where you're going, not where you've been. Unfortunately, I think we're still in a mindset in our industry where we have big rear view mirrors, okay? So people say, well, that's not how we do it around here. We've done it this way, and they tend to pull out the same protocols, do it the same way. There's an aversion to trying it a different way. Key opinion leaders, okay? I mean, I respect key opinion leaders, but I want people who are on the ground actually doing clinical trials, touching patients to have input into the trials. A windshield view means wearables, okay? How can we incorporate wearables into our trials? They're getting better every month. It's remarkable how sensitive they are, how accurate they are, and how diverse they are in terms of what they can bring into trials. DNA sequencing, the cost of sequencing the human genome is coming down rapidly. You have more and more countries where they have projects out there where they want to get large databases of genomes. And finally, looking through the windshield, we have to face the reality that the physicians around the globe, and in particular today in the US, as it's become a more recent trend, the physicians are under increasing pressure. More and more, you can't be independent. You have to be part of an accountable care organization. So the expectations of a physician who are working in an accountable care organization are you need to see a lot of patients. Also the pressures, and I think Dwayne can touch on this, of electronic medical records. So physicians are having less time to spend and touch patients and more time on the keyboard. So it's really a reality that we need to look at what's coming up in front of us and stop trying to hearken to the good old days and think about the way things were in the past. So just three sorts of trends I thought resonated really well. And if you think about how the world can change really quickly, think about something like Uber. So, why did it take so long to have mankind stand out in the middle of Fifth Avenue in the middle of a downpour with your finger in the air, or standing out front here where the humidity is 100%, in a puddle of sweat waiting for a cab, when someone said, well, no, let's just look the other way and change how we do business, and now you can pull out an app and you can find a car that's going to come pick you up right at your door within a few minutes. So disruption is going to happen in our industry. We've got to be looking for it, and we've got to be encouraging it. So with that, in the opening comments, I'm going to tee up a few questions for our panel, okay? And again, we're open to the audience. Let's start out with an easy one. What's truly been disruptive and why? Whether it be wearables, technology, organizations, policy, people, and I don't just mean tweaks. Show me something in our industry that really has been transformational. Oh, I didn't even get one question out. Ibs is going to fire away. Right, Identify yourself, please, and fire away.
So, look, let me challenge you guys. You're talking about how disruption is going to happen. And at the risk of looking through the rearview mirror, what I see is that there hasn't been much disruption happening, even though there's all this interesting stuff out there. And I think it comes down to money, right? I mean, we're seeing big pharma companies slashing budgets at a scale we've never seen before. We've seen huge companies cutting headcount, right? The world is awash with capital, but it all seems to be flowing into the biotechs. The biotechs are too small to try innovative new little technologies in ClinOps, right? So the big companies, the big pharma companies, which should be leading the disruption in ClinOps, don't have the money to put in up front to change the game. I mean, it's all very well to talk about wearables, but how are you going to pay for that at Lilly or at Merck or Janssen or Pfizer? It's just, I'd love to know, because there's a lot of us here who have interesting technologies that would love you guys to use them.
Well, one thing that I'd like to mention is when I talked about partnering with technology companies, I mean, pharma is partnering with technology companies, and it's giving them a new approach in looking at the data. And they're merging their funds. So, the tech companies have a lot of money. I did an in-depth report on Google, and it's just amazing. And I've been working on a graph to actually map it all out to show their depth in healthcare. Google Ventures has invested in a lot of companies, and they're doing things that cost a lot less money because they know how to do it that way. So you take something like Flatiron Health, which is a Google Ventures company. They are mining EHRs for oncology data. So, I mean, I think we're just at the beginning. I think that's the frustration. But these partnerships, I think that's going to be really disruptive, because those companies are going to challenge the legacy players.
Okay. I mean, just very respectfully, what I see again and again is we present you guys with technologies. I mean, pharma companies, and the pharma companies say we'd love to use it, but not on this trial.